Hi, everyone, and welcome to our second episode of our podcast. My name is Giulia, and you'll be hanging out with me today. So, why don't I introduce a little bit myself before we start? Um, I'm 32 years old, nearly 33 next month. I'm from Verona, but I've been living for the past 6 years in a tiny little village in the south of Piedmont. Um, it's called Merana, and it has less than 200 inhabitants, so it's really small. But anyway, my partner and I lives up on a hill, on the hills, in a house surrounded by the woods with no close neighbors, and just with the company of our 60 cashmere goats, 8 dogs, and a couple of donkeys, and 20 hens and chickens. So you've probably seen my face if you follow us on Instagram, because I take care of all the Instagram promotion, the website, and I take all the pictures, among other stuffs like keeping contact with the mill and with other breeders. But anyway, I thought it would be nice for this first episode, and if you like, also for some others, to give you to show you how our life here is at the farm, so you can have to get to know also a little bit more our farm. So I could probably start by telling you how we ended up here in the first place. We were living in Genova. This was 7-8 years ago, and even though I always loved Genova, it was love at first sight. The first time I saw it, I was doing a job I really hated, and I think that maybe because I've always been what you can call an eclectic person, so I've always, been someone that crave for learning new things and finding new stuff also. And I was making the most of my spare time, attending to courses, all sorts of courses. So from baking to bread baking to sewing to later on hand spinning. And so one day it was kind of an escape, and I was also trying new things, hoping to find what would become maybe my path, because I didn't like what I was doing. And one day a friend showed me her crochet project, and I don't know why she was showing it to me, because she thought I would be interested in learning crochet, but I don't know what popped into my mind, but I decided to pick up knitting instead. I didn't have even a pair of needles in the house. I think that was 2012, and so yeah, I just bought my first pair of needles, and I started browsing in the internet, and watching YouTube videos, buying a couple of books for really beginner, and that's how it started. I kind of fall in love with knitting, because you know how knitting is. especially when you are a beginner, but not only actually. So you make mistakes, you frog, you rip, you go back, you make it again, and well, this kind of gave me a way of learning something about myself that I didn't know, because I always been a person who like to, yes, try new things, but if something, I didn't really stick. I mean, I stick to some things, but not to all of them. And I found out that I was really stubborn, and that if something didn't come up the way I wanted, I kept, repeating it until I learned it. And that's something that I found out about myself thanks to knitting. So I don't know, I think that's also one of the things why I enjoy knitting a lot, because it taught me something new about myself. Anyway, so I was into the knitting world and the fiber world, and at that time my partner and I were starting thinking of moving away from Genova and getting a house in the countryside. And we found this house on the hills with some pastures, with some fields. And so I had this idea that popped into my mind, and why don't we look for fiber animals that could in a way help us out to keep the fields clean, mow the lawn, and well, we'd have fibers that will be really cool. So we started by looking, at sheep, alpacas, and my partner also was really into it, because he's always been into nature, so he was up for it. And in the end, we discovered these cashmere goats. So we went to this farm in Tuscany, and we had a workshop there. And then we came back a couple of more times. And I guess we just fell in love with goats. Goats, you either love them or you hate them. Every time that I tell people that I have goats, there is always someone that is going to tell me a story of how, stubborn they are, and that they eat all their flowers, or that you can't really keep them inside a fence because they jump everywhere, they drive you nuts. And yeah. I guess my partner and I really like challenges, and maybe because we are as stubborn and as as them, we chose these particular animals. And yeah, don't get me wrong, they drive you nuts because they're really clever, and so they always find a way. And even if there's a huge field full of grass and everything, if the gate is open and your flowers are outside, they'll go straight to eat your flowers or your fruit trees. So but that that's how they are, and we like them also for that reason. We thought of starting small, really small, and so I think the first 2 goats we brought home, there were 2, and then after a few months we got other 10 cashmere goats, and then the herd kept growing. Our first idea was to create our own yarn, by starting by the fiber, and so I was looking for how to learn to hand spinning, and incredibly I found this course just right before we were leaving Genova, a couple of months before we were leaving for good. And I found out that was this course held by two ladies, and one of them was Stefania. And so it was fun. And so yeah, well, we then kept in touch. Of course, I kept attending to other courses throughout the years, and in the meantime, our herd kept growing, and we started producing our own yarn, but soon we hand spun, and I made a couple of projects with it, but I soon realized that it was really time consuming, and with also the herd growing, it wouldn't have been possible to make everything on my own. And at the same time, we were in touch with Stefania, and so it came the idea of making our yarn spun in a really small mill in really, really small batches. And so this is kind of started. But anyway, that's a really special period here at the farm. It's one of the busiest period because it's in springtime we harvest the fiber of our animals, and so I thought it would have been nice to show you with a little video of how we do it, and because we don't shear them, but we comb them with simple combs, and but maybe I could tell you a little bit more about cashmere goats before I show you the video. Cashmere goats are really rustic animals and strong animals, and actually one of the reasons we chose this animal is because they need and love, but they really need to live outside. So in Italy, unless you live in the mountains or you have really small herd, usually animals are kept into barns, and maybe sometimes they go out for a few hours a day, but that's not for all of them, and that's something that we didn't want. I mean, what we wanted was to have animals that could stay outside, because it's also part of the selection of that we made, that created this animal really fragile, so they need to stay inside or they'll get sick. And that's not the case of cashmere goats, as they all they need is a shed, and to protect them from mostly rain and wind, because they are really affected by rain and wind, whereas they don't bother snow as much. And anyway, we have a barn because it was a construction that was already here. So when sometimes if some days are really rough, the weather is really hard, we get them in, but usually they're all days of the year. They are outside in the pasture grazing, and you can see that's what they love, because in the barn they are more stressed, and so yeah, that's something that you maybe didn't know about cashmere goats. We usually have kids that are baby goats between this season, because it's warmer. So usually the mother takes care of their kids, and at first we had a single kid, but later on we started having more twins. And it's sometimes a challenge, because it can happen that a mother cannot recognize one of the two twins. We ended up a couple of years ago breastfeeding, bottle feeding, sorry, 5 baby goats. And of course it was lovely, because they all jump on you and they're really funny, but in the end it's also, you have to feed them twice a day, and then they you risk to imprint them, and so they see you as kind of their mothers, and so they would like to follow everywhere, and that's crazy. And because of course they will eat everything on their path. And so anyway, also when the moms give birth, they are in the fields, and they just separate from the herd, and you can tell when a goat wants to stay separated from the herd and kind of isolate themselves. That means that either they have something wrong, so they're sick, or if you know that it's pregnant, it means that it's just about to give birth. And when I say that our goats are into these fields, into this pasture grazing, I always mean that we kept them into electric fences with guardian dogs to protect them, because we have wolves around here. We've captured them into video cameras that we keep outside the fence, to monitor the situation. And so we have these dogs that help us out in feeling safe, and they grow up with the goats, and so they become part of their herd and their family, and they consider them their pack or their herd. And so yeah, we have also these white helpers, because they are pastori abruzzesi, and that's a breed from central Italy. And so that's why we have so many dogs at the farm. But enough with the talking now, and I'll show you this video we took the other day, and I hope you will enjoy it. Here we are, ready to comb Caramello. We are in the Weathers and Box field. This one, Ace, one of the guard dogs that protect our goats from wolves and predators. And these are all Caramello's pals that will keep us company. Hi Fosco! That will keep us company today while we comb him. We've already combed some of them. Some of them needs to be combed yet. And this is the view. It's a lovely day. And yeah, we hope you will enjoy this little video. This is Caramello cashmere, so soft. what we usually do, it's taking the bag, we write down the name of the goat, we take note on the day, and the number on the ear tag. So later on we'll be able to weight how much cashmere he's produced this year. We have a database that tells us the yield of each goat of every year. And so first one, we give him a nice little comb to take off all the vegetable matters, and if there's some knots, we take them away. Here we go. So cashmere, it's the undercoat that grows with the first cold. So in autumn, usually we can see the very first fluffy hairs of cashmere in late summer, and they grow it to keep them warm, and it grows throughout all winter, and then in spring, usually with the first really warm days, they naturally shed it. As you can see, we don't comb them. We don't shear them. We comb them with combs, like for cats or dogs. They have really, really thick teeth, so we can grab all the precious fiber, because you can see how soft, you can tell how soft and thin it is. To be considered cashmere fiber needs to be between 11 and 18 microns, so it's really, really fine. Consider that wool, a really fine wool, can be 29, 19 microns, really the finest. But and also you can see bigger hairs. And in fact, one of the things about cashmere is that once it's harvested, it needs to be de-haired. So we need to, because when we comb it, we get little hair of the animal, and the undercoat, which is the cashmere, which is a lot finer, as you can see. And so by de-hairing, we separate. I say we, but we don't do it by hand, of course, because we have far too many goats to be doing it by hand. And so we send it to a mill to do this, and they separate the hairs from the fiber. So, it takes a step more than other fibers before having it spun. Caramello is a light brown goat, and by that I mean that you can't really see it because he is so full of cashmere, but his hair are brownish, light brown, whereas his cashmere, it's really light beige. we've been selecting our goats to have kind of because usually cashmere it's white, and we've been selecting our goats to have brown cashmere, beige and grey, which are hues that are more difficult to achieve, because it's the most common and actually wanted by the big industries. It's the white cashmere, because it's the one that you can dye easily, whichever color you wanted to make. But we've preferred to have these, brownish. They're natural colors. We think they're really, really nice. I know that in this video it may look like white, but if I would show you, I don't have it right now, but a white cashmere, it's a really white, bright white, the white cashmere. So that's one definitely light beige, grayish. And here also you can see all the hairs. It usually takes a couple of hours to comb a goat. I comb it with my partner. So I comb one side and he combs the other side, so we make it faster. And usually they don't mind. And now we are out in the field and they've been eating mostly weeds and grass. So, but otherwise, if we do it in the barn, we put some hay here so they can have a little snack while we comb them. And I'd say that the goats that mind it the most are the one of 1 year old, so when it's their first time of being combed and they're not really used to it. And there are some parts that bothers them, like this part of the up here and on the thigh, but because it kind of gives them a little it tickles them. And a goat produces around 200 and 300 grams of cashmere throughout all the year, because we comb them only once a year. And today, after we'll finish combing Caramello, we'll be taking all the cashmere goats of this group outside in a pasture just in front of here. Here they are, all enjoying the sun. So today, after we'll finish combing Caramello in a couple of hours, we'll be taking all the goats of this group in that field over there. That's what we do in spring and summer. We move the goats into outer pastures so we can let the grass grow in this one, and by moving them we don't desertify any field. That's something that usually people say about goats, but it's actually something that happens if you leave the animal all year round in the same field. Of course, if you move them, that's not something that can happen. And then we'll be taking the females in this field and we'll start combing them. Aria. Ta-da! So, just to show you what I was saying in the video, this is the cashmere of a brown goat. And you can see that it's much darker. It has some different shades. This one instead might be like the colors of Caramello, the goat that we were combing. I don't have actually here Caramello's cashmere. And this one, it's a really white one. So if you compare them, you can see this one, it's kind of a little bit more beige. And then we have the darker one. Of course, like you can see, you know, the hair and also this black hair is what then it will be took off in the dehairing process. But yeah, it's a really, really lovely, you know, cloud, really, really soft and really dreamy. And what we make with our cashmere, because of course as Lanivendole we couldn't not have a cashmere blend, so one of the first blend we made right after a chic blend and a stormy blend, it was a heavenly blend, and this one is Avena in its natural color. It's the undyed shade. I love this oatmeal shade that it's given by the alpaca and the colored cashmere, naturally colored cashmere. And it's really, really warm and soft, and once it's you know, lit up and washed and blocked, it really, the cashmere really blooms. So I hope you enjoyed this you know, getting to know a little bit more about our farm. If you'd like, we could keep a little space of it for each episode. I don't know, just leave us feedback and let us know what you think about it. And of course, if you'd like to know something else, you can always write us and let us know. And there is something also I would like to show you. Something I've been working on, as we actually haven't showed any knitting yet. And so I've been working on the Nappe shawl. If you've been following us on Instagram, you know that Justyna Lorkowska, it's Latest Knits on Instagram, has designed this beautiful shawl featuring our yarn, and we made several combos, and I picked Stefania's one. This one is with a chic blend Ramarro, and I have to make the last rows of the first section before changing color, so that should be interesting. And I've been knitting it mostly in front of the TV. So, you know, it's a mindless knitting, but now, because it's all garter, and now there'll be some other interesting stitches. This one is a chic blend Ramarro, and then I'm gonna change color. This one is a heavily blend Coralli, and I really like how these two are combined. And then there'll be a third section with a chic blend Carbone. So this is the combo. I realized that I either need pink stuff or green. I have lots of green in my wardrobe, and I don't know. I've always loved green, so green and pink. I think it's one of the best combination. So yeah. And there was also something else that I wanted to show you, because this month has not always only been a special month for the farm and a busy one, but we've also been, our yarn was featured in Laine Magazine, in Laine book 52 Weeks of Shawls, and yeah, we were really excited and happy about it, and we were really honored to be part of this gorgeous book. We will always admired Sini and Jonna's work, and they make terrific photographs, and so we're really happy about it. And this gorgeous shawl, it's Frost. Here's the name, and it's designed by Valentina Cosciani, which is a terrific designer, Italian designer. So it was an Italian team, so we were also very excited about it. And I'm just gonna show you our sample. And it's a really nice book. If you got 52 weeks of socks, you probably know that there are 52 patterns. Actually, I think 53, because one of the pattern has double version, one crocheted and one knit. And there are lots of lovely shawls that I would like to make, and we got it was something really big for us, and we were really proud to be in it, so we decided to have some copies in our shop. And I'll just show you this gorgeous. It's huge, and what we loved about this, it was really love at first sight when we saw the draft, and what we really like is that the yarn chosen was a Stormy blend, which is our yarn in 70% wool and 30% alpaca. Fingering weight, and this is the colorway Luce. Stefania, if you watched our previous episode, Stefania has talked about it, and so if you'd like to know a little bit more, you can watch our second episode of the podcast. And anyway, what we loved is that when you think of lace, you would think of making it in something like, our cashmere blend, like a heavenly blend. But this time was chosen a Stormy blend, which is a kind of a more simple blend, but, gorgeous, but less precious, because it doesn't have cashmere, but still it has Italian wool and Italian alpaca, and it's really, really soft. So we loved how it came, and it's huge. And of course we couldn't make only one sample, so we made another one. And this time we decided to make it with our new, our latest base. the one that we launched a few months ago. We made the first episode of our podcast based on this base that is Aura. Oh, sorry. And we chose, if you've seen the palette, there are lots of bright shade that can be combined with more earthy shades, and so we thought that we needed to use, something more delicate for this shawl. This one, it's also unbelievably soft, because Aura, maybe I forgot to say it, it's in 100% Italian alpaca, and it's an alpaca that comes from Tuscany, from Grosseto, and this color is Levante. It reminds us of, the first buds in spring. It's a really pale, delicate pink, and you can see the halo. So this is Frost by Valentina Cosciani, that you can find on Instagram as TBSay. And well, actually, I have a little something else to show you, and because I've always been, it's a book, it's not knitting related, but I've always been a strong reader until a couple of years ago, because of had lots of work and stuff, and so unfortunately reading was something that kind of became to make less. But this year, one of those things that you say at the start of the year, and for me it was to definitely read more, because there are always loads of books that I would like to read, and so I decided that I took more space for reading, and also I thought that maybe showing it here to you, and of course if you're interested in knowing what I'm reading, and it will be a way for me to finish the book for each in time, and showing you new books that I'm reading, so this might be also helpful for me. Anyway, the book is Questa è l'America. This is America, I guess, by Francesco Costa, which is an Italian journalist who's an expert in USA politics. And so, well, it's an interesting book because it's Francesco Costa, this journalist, wrote stories to, it actually says stories to understand the present of the USA, the politics and our future. And it's really interesting because it starts from the thought that we all have as countries and populations, our own ideas of how other countries are, but sometimes they are, mostly, unless you've lived there, of course, or get to know the culture, and it's mostly stereotypes or prejudice or just, ideas that you may have because of movies. And so he starts by telling real stories, American stories, to then give you an idea of also American politics and how this is also related to our the Italian one. And so I think it's really interesting and I'm loving it. I've been following him also as a journalist and reading his articles, so I really like it. I'm not sure it's translated, but it might be because it's been published also second book. So, but I look into it if you're interested. And so, yeah, I hope I didn't get you bored and that you've enjoyed spending time with me. And next time there will probably be Stefania to keep you company. So yeah, thank you for sticking till the end, and have a nice day. Bye bye.